So how about that then? Champions League draw completed. Chelsea have got Porto away from home in the quarterfinals. And if we make it to the semi-finals, we'll face either Liverpool or Real Madrid away from home too in the first leg. Incredible draw. I think it was the draw that Chelsea fans probably dreamed of. I think avoiding Bayern, PSG, Man City till at least the final, I think is the best case scenario for Chelsea. And you look at this draw, the way it's shaped out now, I think Chelsea and Chelsea fans, and I'm sure the squad too, think there's a really good chance of getting to the final this year. I know the Champions League is crazy, and despite me admittedly celebrating when we got Porto, because I do think they're the weakest teams out of the ones we could have got, you still need to be very cautious because of what they did in the last round against Juventus. A really good performance by them, especially in the second leg. But given some of the teams we could have faced in this round, I think it's the best case scenario for Chelsea, who've got some raw deals in Champions League draws recently, especially in the last 16. I think Atletico Madrid was probably the toughest one we could have got in that draw. And you think about recent years as well, there was the case of potentially facing PSG once again, facing Bayern, facing Man City. That isn't the case. And I look at some of the other draws as well, Man City having to play Borussia Dortmund at home first. I look at especially Bayern versus PSG. You're going to get one of those big heavyweights knocked out, and potentially two of them. I mean, Man City and Bayern could be knocked out in the quarterfinal. So that would be massive for Chelsea if it does open up even more for Thomas Tuchel. Everything seems to be going his way at the moment. In the case of Porto, I mean, you could call it the Jose Mourinho or Malang Sarr derby, given Malang Sarr on loan there. It's a real throwback fixture for me for like the mid-noughties when Chelsea played Porto a lot when Jose Mourinho arrived. I think we played them once in the group stage. I think in Mourinho's first season in 04-05. We played them again, I think it was the last 16 in 06-07. And then we played them again under Jose Mourinho in 15-16 in the group stage. So we have faced Porto quite a bit. I mean, it would have been quite intriguing to face a Borussia Dortmund, who we've never faced before in any competitive game, really. So that would have been quite historic. And we may, if we want to face Dortmund this year, we have to get to the final, and they have to get to the final as well. But I think it's going to be a very intriguing tie. There are similarities between Atletico Madrid and Porto. I think in the way Porto will set up probably in both legs against Chelsea, quite defensive, quite reactive. It's going to try and hit Chelsea on the counter, but Chelsea, the way they dealt with Atletico Madrid, are probably the masters of that in the Champions League, I thought was wonderful. So it really gives Chelsea the platform, the confidence to do something remarkable in this competition. And I even look at the last four, and I don't just want to, this is not me dismissing Porto, but we've got the draw now. We see the path there. And I know Thomas Tuchel won't be thinking about the semi-finals, but just to look at that, a potential, you talk about the narrative, a potential Liverpool semi-final in the Champions League against Chelsea once again. That's proper throwback fixture to the mid-noughties. You think about Mourinho versus Benitez, another time facing Liverpool if they get there. And Real Madrid, who of course we faced in some iconic fixtures, but not for a while. In the Champions League, we really haven't faced them in the modern era. So that would be a massive game. And I think for both of those, Real Madrid and also Liverpool, we've beaten Liverpool recently. I think there should be a confidence within this squad, given what we've just done against Atletico Madrid, that we potentially can get to that final. There are some really good teams in there, and we know form, at the moment Chelsea are so confident. The momentum is with Chelsea currently, and we know how quickly things can change in football. And it was the case in the last 16 draw. I know it isn't the same amount of time, but when the last 16 draw happened, I think we started to have that bad under Frank, didn't we? I think we lost to Everton, lost to Wolves, and you sort of felt less sort of optimistic about the last 16 when it eventually arrived. When it eventually arrived, Chelsea had sort of fixed their issues and were a lot more confident. Form could sort of go either way for Chelsea by the time we reach Porto. If we do reach that quarterfinal, which isn't that far away, still in good form and momentum, you hope Chelsea, especially away from home, that's a big advantage, away goal advantage too, going into the second leg at the Bridge. Chelsea can not only progress from the last 16 for the first time in 7 years, but progress to the semi-finals for the first time in 7 years, because of course 2014 we got to the semi-finals and faced Atletico Madrid. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this. I think it's a really good draw for Chelsea. It gives you so much excitement and hope for the rest of the season, doesn't it? Because Chelsea have got to a stage that I think a few months ago didn't feel that realistic, and now there's a really, really good chance for Chelsea in the current form and the quality of both squads, us and Porto, to get to the semi-finals, to the last four. And once you're getting to that stage, anything can happen, and it should give the current team lots of confidence. We've got the FA Cup quarterfinal on Sunday, which I think is a massive game. That's Chelsea's best chance of silverware still this season, but the path has now sort of been opened up for Chelsea, and every other team will be looking at us in jealousy, basically, because I think everyone apart from Porto probably wanted Porto, and to get them away from home as well, I think is even better. So it's in Chelsea's hands now. I think the dynamic in this fixture will be a little bit different to Atletico Madrid. Now we've got sort of that hoodoo of the last 16 out of us. I also think the pressure is going to be on Chelsea a lot more than it was against Atletico Madrid. I think the expectation is going to be there for Chelsea to get through this tie. They're going to be the favourites, and how Chelsea now psychologically deal with being the favourites, I think will be interesting too. I think that's something we can't forget as well. The pressure will be a lot more on Chelsea in this two-legged tie, and seeing how Thomas Tuchel once again as a tactician deals with that. In the first leg we were very dominant against Atletico Madrid, had a lot of the ball, got the away goal, and in the second leg, as we saw the other night, Chelsea played a lot more on the counter-attack. They hope they can potentially do that once again, because Porto have just been wonderful this season. They really have. They've exceeded expectation. They've gotten to this stage. They've got experience in their team. It isn't a team blessed with wonderful talent, like world-class talent, but there's a squad unity there. If you watch them against Juve in that second leg, had to get through a lot to get to this stage. So Chelsea have to be wary of that. This is not going to be a walk in the park. This is not going to be a standard game. This is the Champions League. Porto as well will look at this as an amazing opportunity to get to the last four themselves and maybe replicate what they did on the Jose in 03-04. So those are my thoughts on the draw. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm doing a collab with Nini FC soon, so I'm going to have those videos out. I'm going to have my preview for the Sheffield United quarter-final, but the Champions League, Chelsea have to get excited. We've got Porto in a few weeks as well. That's a massive, massive game. It really is. I'm just looking at the rest of the ties, away from Chelsea, which of course is our main focus. Man City, Dortmund, that's going to be a really exciting tie. Seeing Haaland and potentially Sancho going back to face Man City, that there's a lot of excitement and intrigue in that fixture. Man City, I felt this is kind of their best chance to win the Champions League this season, given where they are in the Premier League. But they've stumbled at the quarterfinal stage. It's a big test for them. I think I still would back Man City, given Borussia Dortmund's defensive issues, but psychologically, given what City have done in recent years under Pep in the Champions League, they've really struggled. So that's going to be a test for them, absolutely, especially in an attacking sense with Borussia Dortmund. Bayern PSG, I think, is the blockbuster tie of the round, what Kylian Mbappe did in the last round to Barcelona. I also think Bayern Munich, where Bayern were last year, they've struggled this year. They haven't been at that level. You still expect them to win the Bundesliga, and I still fully expect them to get to the semi-finals. And Real Madrid versus Liverpool, I think, is a really intriguing tie, given where both teams sit, probably not at their best at the moment. So there's an opportunity for both of those teams to reach the last four as well. But Chelsea, in the case of Chelsea, everything's going wonderfully at the moment for us. It was a draw we wanted. There's now that hope that we could reach Istanbul potentially in May, which would be an astonishing end to the season. It really would, given where we were in January. So let me know your thoughts again. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea. Subscribe, hit that like button too, and I'll see you again.